Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our discussion on number worlds. My name is Alex Rickers, and I'm a curriculum specialist with McGraw-Hill Education, and I'll be moderating this discussion today. Our goals for today are for you to experience a discussion with current number worlds users. So you can hear about their experiences, and they can guide you in implementing if you are considering using number worlds. Also, it gives you the opportunity to ask any burning questions you have as you've learned about number worlds. So let's meet our panel. I'm going to have them introduce themselves. Alicia, why don't we start with you? Tell us, of course, your name, your title, and your district.
Hi, I'm Alicia Keene. I'm with Fairfax County Public Schools in Virginia, outside Washington, D.C. I am a curriculum resource teacher with the special ed instruction high incidence team, and I support both teachers and students throughout our county in just about everything, anything instructional.
Great. Alandis?
My name is Alandis Hawkins. I'm a special education instructional coach in Winston-Salem County Schools. So my job is to provide support for all literacy and mathematics instruction.
Great. And Allison?
I'm Allison Henry, and I am a math interventionist and data specialist within the Pittsburgh Public Schools. I support both teachers and implementing the curriculum, and then also running interventions with students using number worlds.
Great. So I'm going to ask you each a couple questions about your background with number worlds. Allison, I'll start with you. How long have you been using number worlds in your district?
We have been using number worlds primarily for our summer school program that runs through July and August, and with students for the last 3 years we've been using it.
Great. And what led you to your decision on purchasing number worlds?
We wanted a intervention-based program to reach our students who were below grade level standards, to reinforce and spend time in specific skills over the summer. We really liked the activity-based lessons that we saw in the number worlds curriculum, and then also the project-based learning that was implemented into the Common Core Aligned version of number worlds. And so we felt that project-based learning and the activity-based resources, the activity cards in the program, would really benefit and get our students engaged with the content throughout the summer.
Great. What would you say is your favorite part about number worlds?
I think that the project-based learning and how at the end of each week within a unit, it builds throughout the unit of study. So around fractions at the end of each week, students are working on a real-world connected project, showing their demonstration of the skills that were practiced throughout the week, but then throughout a unit, that same context stays there with the project, and so students can revise work and build off of it throughout the unit.
Great. That is a really unique piece of number worlds, and it's something often our struggling students miss out on, are those projects. So it's one of my favorite parts too. All right, Alandis, tell us how long you've been using number worlds.
Winston-Salem County Schools have been using number worlds probably since 2008. I got trained in 2011 on using number worlds with my students when I was teaching middle school at the time. So we've been using it probably now about 8 years.
Great. And what led you to the purchase of number worlds?
Well, the district had already purchased it, but we decided to go with the 2015 version because it really suited our older students. We were finding that a need in the middle school level, our students were really missing a lot of holes and gaps in their skill base. We really wanted to hit hard with the 2015 version, so we liked the way it's implemented and moved up with the Common Core standards and the more age appropriateness as it's gotten older with the 6 through 8 standards.
Great. And what do you like best about the program?
I like the interactive piece with the building blocks now that it's adaptable. So as the students are going through the modules, it's going to adapt to their learning. So I really like that piece. And I love the new progress monitoring aspect as well with Connect Ed, how you can really track the data and see if the students are really making gains and growth.
Great, thank you. And Alicia, how long have Fairfax County been using number worlds?
So Number World has been in the district for over 5 years. I started in this position about 5 years ago, and it was here, obviously, the previous version of it. So, but we've really had a big push and seen a big growth of its use in the last year. So we're pretty excited.
Absolutely. And just to note, Alicia is in a state, Virginia, that is not Common Core.
Very
We do have a
much.
student version, and I am also in Virginia, so know all about this very well. And then with Alandis and Allison in Common Core states. So just of note. Alicia, what led you guys to the purchase of Number Worlds?
So we, not being a Common Core state, I guess, we kind of do. Our Virginia standards are, very much like the Common Core standards, but we were finding for a lot of our students who were struggling with major reading difficulties, also had difficulties with math, and so we were trying to find something that would kind of mirror our reading interventions that we were using. So Number Worlds, we went as one of our options just because it kind of mirrored more of like a math workshop style, and it would really fit into what we were trying to do with math workshop in the county.
And what is your favorite part about Number Worlds?
So my favorite part, but what I can say like the students' favorite parts, because I was out in some classrooms this week, are the activities and that they're considered games to them. They don't feel like it is another math lesson that they have to sit through. So they tend to be very excited and very eager to come to their Number Worlds group during that rotation. And, it's just not another rote or algorithm based or here's some tricks to try and get around the curriculum that they're struggling with. So it makes the learning fun for them, it makes them excited, and they really are starting to make connections and starting to generalize some of that. So, and I think because the kids are excited and they're feeling some success with that instruction, it's starting to build their confidence when they are during their focus lessons in the class and they're starting to volunteer, and you can just kind of start to see that change in them. So it's very exciting for us.
Absolutely. And something I've noticed as I was an interventionist is these are kids that need something different than what they're receiving in the core classroom. So that hands-on approach that you've all mentioned makes a big difference. That's what those students need to accelerate their math success. So great. All right, let's move on and talk about student engagement. Alandis, let's start with you. What do your students say about Number Worlds?
I think the biggest thing that they say is the games. At the younger level with the elementary school kids, they love the Dragon Quest game. That's one of their favorites. As far as the older kids, they're thinking about using them on their iPads and tablets. So they really love the games and how it's fun, it's engaging. It really meets their needs and their interest level.
Great. Allison, what about your students? What do they say about math after using Number Worlds?
So, after looking at our end of camp survey, 78% of the students agreed that they liked their math class, and 81% of the students that went to camp agreed that their math skills improved. And then they also, what was interesting is that when citing what their favorite part of camp was, and there's a lot of exciting activities, academic and non-academic, that they cited that the academic and primarily the math Number World was one of their favorite parts of camp. So that was really encouraging for us to hear from students. So it wasn't a quote from students or anything, but that the overall acceptance again of the curriculum, the Number Worlds activities that we purchased and put in place, that they were really well received by students.
Great, and I think especially when you're talking about summer school, students aren't always as excited to come. So the fact that they really enjoyed the activities says a lot. That's great. Alicia, tell us a little bit about the Number Worlds classroom experience. What does it look like and feel like?
So it's interesting in our county, we have kind of a mixture of how it's being implemented this year. Some of our teachers are implementing it during their math block as one of the rotations that the students would move through. And then in some other schools, they're using it during their intervention block, or they're using it as an after-school program. So, it's just going kind of interesting for me just to kind of see how it's all working out there.
So it sounds like it's really flexible to use. You're using it in a lot of different settings.
Right, and I think that's one of the things that the teachers really have responded well to was the flexibility within the lesson where you can go from the 30-minute to the 45 or to the 60-minute depending on the amount of time that you have, but also that, we're giving them that flexibility to say, if you can, depending on how your math workshop block is set up, because sometimes those rotations are only 20 minutes, so that doesn't exactly give you quite enough time. So some folks are, doing it during their intervention block because they'll have that 30-minute piece of time. And then some schools are even bringing those kids in and having them stay after school, providing them some snack and going and having those lessons there. So, for us, it's really helping to meet that need because every school, our county, it's pretty large. We have about a little over 193 schools district-wide. So, about 140 of those are elementary schools. And every school is so different. So just being able to kind of think outside the box about how we can get those interventions in with everything else that these students need, it's kind of like that double dose for them and getting it to fit in. So the flexibility of the program has been fantastic.
Right. And when it comes to intervention, it has to be flexible because
Yeah.
if you're fitting it in every part of the day. And, after school, another great example, it's got to be fun and engaging because the kids are tired. They've been sitting a lot all day and learning. And so it is a great piece for after school.
Yeah.
Good. Alandis, tell us what it looks like if someone were to walk into a classroom during a Number Worlds lesson. What are the kids doing?
Well, you start off with a warm up. Most of our teachers at the middle school level do the 45-minute lesson. So they do the 5 to 10-minute warm up and do the 30 minutes of engage. So during that time, you'll really see the kids focusing on learning the new skill sets they're learning for the day and engaging in the activities that Number World has provided through the lesson plans and things like that. Now, for our middle school students, we have it set up a different way. So with our middle school students, their warm-up is more so skill-based on the deficits that they have. So the teachers who have the 6-year license will pull skill sets and different things that the kids are missing, and then they will teach the grade level content and curriculum through the use of Number Worlds from 6th through 8th grade. And then with our elementary students, they are focusing solely on skill deficits. So you'll see them working on targeted skills based on their deficits, based on the number of knowledge tests and the placement tests of the program.
Right. So that kind of speaks back to the flexibility that you can take what's been given to you through Number Worlds, but also alter it to fit the needs of your students and your district needs.
Yeah,
I think if I could add, about the flexibility versus using it in the regular school year and intervening with specific skills. I know where to go in the program and find lessons that meet that skill and provide students that intervention. But as far as curriculum or developing a summer school program, it's more around just a fraction for 5 weeks of 6th grade, and so students are coming to summer school in all different ability levels. So the flexibility that's clear for the teacher, the end user, in the teacher's manual, with a lot of formative assessment notes that they can utilize. If you're seeing this, then do this, and different grouping suggestions that they're seeing. And so if you aren't working with an intervention group of students who need a specific content lesson, in the lesson itself is flexible and communicated well to teachers through the manual to be able to have a variety of kids in your class and still be able to provide still be able to engage and have an entry point or be challenged through the program. So that flexibility is definitely clear. And then also we have a large population of English language learners. And so there is an English language learner resource piece that comes along with Number Worlds that we've also found to be helpful for teachers to utilize and engage the students who are struggling with language as a barrier as well.
That's great. And we're going to talk about that more, but that English language learner piece, I always say you'll find, components like that in any program because that's the way our world is now. but they're not always useful. And with this English language learner support book, like you're saying, it is great lesson support without reinventing the wheel. Gives you scaffolding for each week of instruction, and then also within the teacher edition, you have little point of use tips that make it easy. And it's not just for your English language learners, but for all students who are coming to school lacking academic vocabulary. That is part of the reason that they're not successful in the core classroom. So lots of pieces that are easy to use. So I'm glad you found those useful, Allison. That's great. Good. Any other thoughts about student engagement from the panel? All right, I was just checking to see if we have any questions, but we're going to continue on. All right, let's talk about the support and professional development that comes with Number Worlds. Alicia, how do the program resources support teachers in teaching math and planning for instruction?
That, I think, has been one of the most well-liked piece, just from my standpoint of trying to go out and support all the teachers in the county, but just in terms of training and the takeaways that teachers have at training and as they're going through and using the program. What we really like is that it really kind of gives teachers a framework for best practices for math instruction. It really kind of, especially we have a lot of special education teachers who are delivering the instruction, and they oftentimes don't have that rich math background that a lot of their general ed counterparts have. So the teachers feel very supported by the materials, because I think you had mentioned the a lot of those prescriptive teaching boxes are in there from the activities, that if a student was struggling, here are some ways to remedy that through the differentiation piece. That's been great. And just the online piece, the professional development that comes along with on Connect Ed is pretty awesome. Like, I personally use it quite a bit. I love it. I think the resources on there are they're great, between the PDFs and the short little video clips about the different aspects, whether it's if you're looking for looking at assessments and kind of the formal assessments versus informal assessments, what's on there, what to look for. I just think there's a lot that comes with the program, and I think the teachers appreciate that, and because I know I do.
Yes, and definitely as a coach in your position, I know you are receiving emails all day, every day about Number Worlds. We're like the Number Worlds help desk. And so with the professional development, that's a place you can send your teachers if they're not familiar, and use that as part of training. In our trainings that we provide through McGraw-Hill, we always direct our participants to go on to the professional learning environment and complete that prior to face-to-face training, so that the face-to-face training is richer and participants have background knowledge. So I'm glad you found that useful for your teachers, but also you. And I think it's important too, because not everyone likes to teach math. They're not comfortable with teaching math. Reading is a little more comfortable sometimes for elementary school teachers. So Number Worlds is going to give teachers a lot of math background and understanding, and even you can have instructional assistants or teachers' aides teaching Number Worlds comfortably. Landis, what about you? Have you used some of the different program resources for support and professional development?
Yes, we have. I love every aspect of it, especially when you click on the professional development tab in the Connect Ed, because the teachers are like, well, what happened at the training? I can't remember this, I can't remember that. So it's a great way to go back and look at some of the things that we talked about, and it gives a good walkthrough of, setting up your account, managing assignments and things like that. So the teachers definitely love that piece. And then the resources aspect, just to have all those at your disposal to be able to differentiate any way you need to for your students. It's been great. And for some teachers, they have always said, well, I still want to be creative, and so some teachers have been able to add some things into the Connect Ed, so they can add files and things like that. And then we've also had some teachers, be very excited that, they can add those resources through their assignments. So that's been good. So get the kids helpful tools when they go home, because our school district just bought Chromebooks for all of our kids. So we're really trying to get to that one-to-one with technology. So that's been very helpful as well, to even give parents support with the digital pieces.
Great, good. Allison, how has this program changed the way your teachers teach? And I know you have summer school. How has that changed summer school for their instruction?
So summer school was a lot of worksheet based, I think, of just giving kids, more practice sheets, but not what practicing things that were unknown and therefore unengaging and difficult and frustrating. So I think the message that we were able to give teachers, or what was supported by Number Worlds, was that the activity, that the discussion, that the interaction was the lesson and not a worksheet. And so really at the center of the Number Worlds lesson is the activity card and the discussion, and I think the opportunity for students to work with one another in that game that they call it. And so that was help teachers because they had a worksheet to support, but they didn't the worksheet wasn't the main piece of their lesson. And so just through supporting them and communicating that message, we were able to change teacher practice in that way. And also the Number World consultants, as you mentioned, tailoring the presentation to our needs and to our teachers. They were it was very well done, and definitely help our teachers see how to merge two lessons, because we had very little time in summer school, and so we also had to take two lessons and put them together to make a 90-minute block of summer school for math instruction. So the consultants really worked with me prior to, and then were well prepared to support our teachers in preparing for summer camp to begin.
Good. And I think that's something I see all across the country and even the district I taught in. When it came to summer school, there were limited resources. And so it was hard, especially teachers were teaching grade levels they didn't normally teach. So they needed those resources provided to really give rich instruction. So I'm glad that helped. And as you're saying with summer school, we now have summer school specific kits for Number Worlds, focusing on number sense. And we've made pacing guides so that you can combine lessons, because you do have that longer period of time typically, and we vary them depending on the number of weeks you have for summer school. So glad that has been helpful. Let's get back to Alandis. What are your teachers' perceptions of Number Worlds?
You want their first impression or their last impression?
How about their current perceptions of the program?
Their current perception of the program is that the program meets their needs. Before, they were kind of piecemealing things together, trying to find a way to teach certain skill sets and certain strategies, and the way Number Worlds just kind of encompassed everything that they were looking for, something that was, multi-sensory, something very explicit. It helped them, for those teachers who weren't strong with their math, to be able to explain the information very easily to the students. So now we're on the upswing. Everybody's enjoying using Number Worlds, and we're hoping to push it back down to the elementary level, so that way we can kind of cut some of that out from our middle school kids and really focus on that. But even our middle school teachers find that it's very engaging, even for their kids.
Great. And before I move on, I just want to remind everybody, if you have a question, if you will type them in the question box, and we are monitoring those at the end of each kind of category of questions we're going over, and we'll hit those at the end as well. So again, on your toolbar, there's a tab for questions, and you can just type those in, and we're going to come right around to them. Alicia, I want to ask you the same question. What are your teachers' perceptions of Number Worlds?
There's two. The teachers who aren't using it, especially if it's when Number Worlds is being used during a rotation, during a math block. At first, it was kind of like, are you even doing math? What are you doing over there? It looks like you're just playing games. And I think because the kids were having so much fun and But I think, you know, the conversation has been great between whoever's implementing Number Worlds and whoever else is in the classroom, just and really kind of sharing those resources, and the whole idea that our kids who are receiving that double dip of math instruction, that it should look different. It needs to look different because they're getting that double dip for a reason, because they, you know, struggled the first time through. So that has been pretty great. And I think the other piece just kind of keeps coming back to that a lot of our teachers, especially at the elementary level, need to be masters of so much, and that with this program, it really kind of offers them kind of that framework. It's offering the skills in a great scope and sequence already for them. They don't have to figure it out. But the other piece is it's kind of, you know, even though the activities are already there for them, it's still giving them that freedom to have those kind of math conversations with the students, and not so much focus on, I need to pull an activity, I need to find some resources to do this with. It's there for them, so they can really focus on the teaching and the instruction piece of it. It's just the teachers who are really in it are just in it, and they love it, and they keep asking me to come out, and they keep sending me little videos and little tidbits from their kids. Just, you know, they're just really excited because it's something different, and the kids are really thriving with it and are in that confidence. I mean, you can't put a price tag on that. So we're really excited to see how things you know, kind of fall out at the end of the year and see where the kids are at compared to where they started.
Great. Allison, what best practices can you share with other teachers who are about to implement Number Worlds?
As far as how
to get started with it.
So I think the scope and sequence in the beginning of the manual, and kind of, I mean, basically talking to a Number World consultant really helped me make sense of it, and she was able to point out to me some key tidbits around how to manage a 30-minute, a 45-minute, or a 60-minute block, and really the Connect Ed piece for me was to go on to Connect Ed and kind of just dig in myself, to play the games yourself, to get the activity cards out and to kind of get a feel for it. So really, I don't know, just to dig in,
Yep.
really how I did it, and then also pulling the problem task, I think was for me. I pulled out all of the problem solving at the end of each week within a unit, and looked at all of them, and then was able to kind of convey to teachers then the big goal, right, was of this week, and how then from there they could be also creative or tailor that project to the needs of the students. So yeah, just dig right in.
There you go.
You know, how I did it, really.
Great. Alicia, same question for you, as I know your schools are buying kind of school by school, so it's not one big implementation, so you're helping schools, you know, implement at various times. What are some tips you have for a school that would be implementing?
So I think one of the biggest challenges that we have is that our training time, just, you know, the way things are, we have about 3 hours with the teachers to do a training, and that's kind of to do everything head to toe with the program. So typically what has worked out best for us is I go out to the schools afterwards and kind of sit and walk them through the Connect Ed process of kind of getting online and kind of starting to navigate that piece. For our teachers, they are super excited to get the materials, that hands-on piece, and they are in. It's, you know, looking at the other pieces. The online piece tends to be the piece that they don't jump into right away. So yeah, so I do get to go out, and I, you know, meet with the teachers, and we kind of go through and taking a look at the data and how they can use the Connect Ed site as a great resource for, you know, printing those reports and kind of monitoring progress, but also kind of to pull some of those other resources that we've talked about before, that you can kind of see that articulation up and down if you need to differentiate a little bit more, and going through that part. So that's where I've been spending a lot of my time in terms of support. It's the online piece and kind of helping them through that.
And that's what we see when we do trainings through McGraw-Hill is often we can do a 6-hour training, but often the time limit is 3. And that's
Yeah.
actually enough, because any more than that, they get overwhelmed
Yes.
and they're not ready for the technology yet. They just need to start
Yep.
with friends. And then that follow-up session is really helpful
Mhm.
to then everything makes a little more sense and to get into the technology. And of course, using the professional learning environment prior to any training helps. And even just getting their materials beforehand, because we all want to touch everything and really get our hands on all the goodies. So being able to go through the kits as well. There's Connect support online, so teachers can set up beforehand.
Mhm.
Some need additional support as well, and we can always help with that. All right, great. Well, before we move on, I have a couple questions. One question, Gina's asking about professional development. We have talked about the embedded professional development online. That is part of your teacher dashboard. It is one of the tabs on the right-hand side. Concerning face-to-face training, going through your sales rep is your best bet. Gina, you're welcome to send us your email address and we can help you out a little bit further with getting in contact with your sales rep to get you going with that. And from Derek asking us if we're using number worlds for special ed students to supplement another gen ed based curriculum. So with my panelists, do I have any using it with special ed students?
Yes,
That's
science.
Great, good. Amanda, so tell us about that. So they're using another core curriculum in their general ed classroom?
Yes, in North Carolina, we're currently using a couple. We're using Envisions and Investigations as our core curriculum for math. And so for those kids who need that intervention piece, we've had them using Number Worlds as a pull-out resource time for 30 to 45 minutes.
Great. And Alicia, do you as well?
We're in the same boat. We Envision and Investigations are some of the resources we use to help support Tier 1 instruction. Our Tier 1 instruction is really comes from the pacing guide, which is based on the Virginia SOLs, but we use Number Worlds for those students who are your Tier 3 kiddos who really need a good, strong double dose, and they need it to look a little bit different. And so that's where we're using Number Worlds is. I'd have to say probably like 95% of the students using it are students with IEPs.
Great. And Number Worlds was built to go along with any math program, whether it's McGraw-Hill, Pearson, HMH, and we have correlations to all of those programs, including Go Math, as you mentioned, Derek. So we definitely encourage it to be used with any math program, for sure. All right, I think we're good on questions, so we will move on and talk about effectiveness. It's great when it's engaging, but of course it has to be effective. Allison, how were students performing before using Number Worlds?
So that with summer school students, the way enrollment had planned out, we didn't have the ability to collect pre and post data in summer school, which we are changing to this year, being to measure effective through raw data or actual data. The only data that I do have is more of the survey data around students really enjoying it, the parents and the community. But then also a study was done on our Summer Dreamers Academy, which is our summer program in Pittsburgh by the RAND Corporation, and their findings are showing that Pittsburgh summer learning programs boosted math scores and not other outcomes in the reading or social emotional. So there has been a lot of data coming back from our researchers in the RAND Corporation, and they're saying that statistically significant improvements in math were made the students who attended our summer camp. And so we can attribute that to our curriculum, which was the Number Worlds program. And so that's really encouraging.
Right, especially with summer school, attendance can be spotty, and also it's a condensed amount of time. So sometimes we're looking to just maintain skills. So the fact that you saw improvements is great. Alandis, what about you? Since you're using it throughout grade levels, how was the class performing or classes performing prior to Number Worlds?
Prior to Number Worlds, most of our students with disabilities were only probably growing about a half a year as far as their growth and their math. So once we started using Number Worlds, we're seeing anywhere from a year to 2 years being caught up, because most of our kids are multiple years behind their peers. So we are being able to close that achievement gap quite frequently with teachers who are using the program every day.
Great. And Alicia, how about effectiveness?
So what's been interesting is that the teachers, are reporting that the kiddos are, poor test takers. They have weak number sense, and they tend to rely on a lot of tips and tricks to kind of solve those math problems, but they don't understand those tricks that they've been taught. They're just kind of trying to do them that rote memorization piece. So what we have here is we tend to do quarterly district assessments, and so the kids at the beginning of the year, did not great, but the teachers are reporting that they're really starting to see the kids grow anywhere between like a 15 to a 20% increase over, the second quarter and third quarter. Now, obviously, there's different skills that are taught in each one, but what they've also noticed is that the students are more willing to use manipulatives outside of the number worlds group. They're starting to use them during the focus lesson and things like that. They're seeing the students, their confidence is really growing, and they're willing to participate a lot more during those focus lessons. So a lot of the data we're getting back is more anecdotal from our teachers. So we're really looking to see the end of the year, how that shakes out with the SOL and with our end of the year district assessments. But in terms of, they are seeing growth from the pre-test for the units to the post-test for the units for all the students. So that really has them, quite excited about that. It's not something they've really have seen a lot of in the past.
Great, and that's something we hear from a lot of our customers is our students don't understand how they arrived at answers. Yes. And are needing to fully understand the concepts more and not just the tips and tricks. So do you feel like the scaffolding that the activity cards give with those questions to ask encourages more discussion and students really explaining their thinking?
We're seeing that. What we're also seeing, though, is this, it's okay that if you didn't solve the problem the same way, or if you are 2 steps behind and not as efficient in your solving of some of the problems, and that the kids are really seeing those different models when they're solving the problems, but the conversation that the students are having and that piece, that reflection piece that's in the workbook has been really quite critical, because that's been a really difficult part for our students that are in the Number Worlds group before Number Worlds, just being able to communicate how they solved a problem, the method that they took or the strategy that they used, why they did it. A lot of it was, I don't know, because that's what my friend did, or one of those. But now they're really excited to show, like, oh, I did it this way, because they're able to kind of start to articulate that piece of it, which for us is a big thing.
Right, and that's something we really emphasize in Number Worlds are those collaborative conversations of how did you figure that out, what makes you say that, what's another strategy to figure it out. And again, like you were saying in the reflect piece in the workbook, they're writing about math. Which students absolutely have to be able to do for a standardized test and life. So I'm glad that's been effective. Alandis, what do you feel has been most critical for the success that you've seen?
Most critical, I think it's those teachers who use the program every day. And the great thing about the program, it's flexible. So we always tell the teachers start with the number sense unit first, teach that to make sure they have those core skills, and then use the pre-assessment to kind of gauge where you need to go to after that. So it's a good way to skip around, because you don't necessarily have to cover all the units, because I like to call kids Swiss cheese. We're trying to fill in the holes and the gaps. So we're getting the most bang for our buck for those people who are using it every day.
Good. And as Alandis was referring to, we have a placement test that students can take before you even purchase Number Worlds, so you can determine the kits you need. But I know, like in Alicia's situation, they have determined the levels that their grade levels use. So it's really a district decision as to how you use it. We also have a number knowledge test that really looks at number sense for your elementary students. So a couple options. They're available on our website. All right. Before we move on, I think we're good for questions. We have a couple we'll save for the end. We'll stay on that effectiveness. I want to talk about administrator support. Allison, what change did you see in students and teachers before, after you used Number Worlds?
I think we've touched on it before around just their perception of math, but also in, as Alicia was saying, in their ability to discuss math, which is then the precursor for writing in math and being able to explain written language. So yeah, I think it's the perception of learning or actually diving into the concepts, and not just, for students who can't memorize a step or the steps that have been told to them, it makes no sense. So they're attaching meaning to things, and so that in turn, changes their perception and their confidence level around their ability in mathematics. And then also the language and communication piece. And I've mentioned with a lot of our population being English language learners, this is another huge win, an effective piece of changing or allowing students to just have that time with peers and practice speaking and practice using the language because it was necessary through the activities, and then also problem solving and reflecting at the end of each lesson.
Great. Alandis, what change have you seen in your students and teachers after using the program?
I'm going to take the aspect of the teachers. So going in and working and coaching with my teachers, it's lessened their anxiety towards math. Most of my teachers, especially at the elementary level, are teaching multiple subjects and really struggle with math. Math is easy to say, oh, well, I'm not good at math, so it's okay. So having a program like Number Worlds has really helped ease that anxiety because it's very user-friendly, it's very easy to comprehend and understand, and going in and modeling lessons for the teachers and help them gain a better understanding of the mathematics. And the program does it not only for them. We talked about the teacher talk and the vocabulary and things like that. It helps them explain it to the kids better so the students get it and understand it better.
Absolutely. Thank you. Alicia, how do you think, what distinguishes Number Worlds from other math programs you've seen?
What we like, in comparison to the other two math intervention programs we have in the district, is that it really does mirror that math workshop piece. It's not algorithm based. It's not, I don't want to say drill and kill, but it's not drill and kill like some of the other couple programs that we have, but it has a lot of visuals to it. It's got those hands-on pieces. It's using the manipulatives. It's got the great online piece. So when we start putting that all together, it really is helping us to have our students kind of work on their communication skills. They're working on communicating in math. They're working on that collaboration piece, where some of the other math intervention programs that we have are not. They're a lot drier, for lack of a better way to describe it. The kids really do respond to just to the way this program is set up. They love coming to the groups, and I've been out, the last few days in classrooms again, doing my next set of visits, and the kids are not only excited to come, but they're excited for me to sit next to them so that I could play the game with them and show me like how to play it and things like that. And I don't think that's something we can take for granted, especially with our students who are struggling and our students who are just always kind of behind. And for them to just kind of light up and start to build that confidence, it really starts to seep out into other things. And I just feel like that is like one of the best things about this program, just the kind of the change in the kids. And then, the teachers feed off of that. And then it gets other teachers in the building excited. So now they want to do more Number Worlds groups just because they're seeing the, the positives with the kids. And yes, it's great that their math their math competency is growing, but just the effect it's having on their behaviors, it's having on their confidence and pieces like that. I mean, that's huge.
Right. And one of my favorite stories, I was modeling a lesson with students, and I got up to leave because the time was over, and the little boy said, "Can we keep playing the game?" And
yeah,
there's nothing better than that. So great. Well, I want to wrap up with a few questions. One question, are there any schools in California using it? Absolutely. Do we have correlations to Eureka Math, or otherwise known as Engage Math? We do. Absolutely. All right. Yes. Does Number World skill order go along with My Math curriculum? They do. It does, and it's noted in the newest teacher edition, and we have, I believe, correlations for that as well. It's a perfect fit with My Math. Are the activity cards the same as the My Math Centers? They are not. They are completely unique to Number Worlds. All right, we got the Eureka Math, and we have that one. So now's the time if you have any questions to type those in. Another one we have, do we have alignments to My Math and Glencoe? We do. Absolutely. Hopefully you've seen today, we really do want to integrate with any math program you have. It is program agnostic. It was not built for one of our programs, and we're trying to now piecemeal it out. It was truly built for with any math program. Right. And while I wait and see if we have any other questions, I wanted to get just final thoughts or last thoughts from our panelists. So, Allison, how about I start with you? What are some final thoughts or something you didn't get to share today that you would like to?
So I think the piece around students building their conceptual understanding in mathematics through using manipulatives and pictorially, and then getting to the abstract number understanding. I think our teachers who find Number World to help them in implementing that transition from the manipulative or actually doing and manipulating to then drawing it pictorially and what it looks like to then working with abstract equations and numbers at the end. And so whatever your background is as a math teacher and instructing using Number Worlds, the kids really enjoy manipulating things, but then there's also a lot of visuals or drawing out area models, number lines, a lot of the use of models throughout all the lessons, and not going straight to abstract and to algorithms. And so that's something that we really were looking for in a program, and so we were happy to find it in Number World.
Great, thanks. Landis, what about you? Last thoughts?
My favorite aspect of Number World is probably the progress monitoring piece, because here in North Carolina, they're really pushing data hard and really asking questions. Can you show us that your students are making gains and growth through these programs? So I love that about Number Worlds with the Connect Ed piece. I love it with the number knowledge test, the pre-assessments, the weekly assessments that are built into the program. It gives you it's built in for you, so you're not trying to create things using Easy CBM and other things. It's all right there for you at the tip of your finger. So that's really made our data collection more seamless over the last couple years. So I really enjoy that.
Great. There are a variety of reports for both individual and class reports. So I'm glad you found those really useful. Alicia?
I think from our standpoint in Fairfax, for us, it's just the flexibility of the program. Most of our schools can fit in the 30 minutes, but we do have, some classrooms where the kids are doing the 45 or the 60-minute, just kind of, depending on their severity and where they are. But just that flexibility to have that piece of it has been fantastic. And just the idea that it can be done during that math workshop time and it fits in nicely. It doesn't, it's not so different than what the kids are seeing during their focus lessons or during their other rotations with their teacher. They're still getting that discovery piece of it. They're still building that conceptual knowledge, but it's really done in a bit more of a structured manner. They can still get some explicit instruction in there that they need. So for us, it's been really nice. We're excited. We're really excited. For lack of a better word.
No, we can tell. Well, I want to thank our three panelists today for all of your expertise and for all of you that took some time out of your afternoon to join us. We are excited about Number Worlds, as you can see, and very passionate about it. So please check us out on our website for more information or contact your local sales rep. I hope everyone has a great afternoon, and again, thanks for joining us.